Hello and welcome to the next podcast episode. This is episode 1, The Pandemic, My Story. I moved in the pandemic. On the 20th of November 2020, I moved to my independent flat in T, Devon. You can only know the first letter of that town. I did not know that this was going to be a bad move for me, but more on that later. When I was left alone in the flat, I was like, well, now what? I felt so free. I knew I had a lot of boxes to unpack, but I wanted to take my time with it all. I had my first legal jab for COVID vaccines, and in the UK, as far as I knew, you were meant to have 2. Well, I stopped at 2. I did not want a third one, even though I was offered it. Which did not help me in 2022 because I had COVID. I did not need to take a test because I had all the COVID symptoms, no taste, and fever. I really thought I was going to die. More on that later. In December 2019, I remember watching the news of when they announced the COVID outbreak in Wuhan, China. Obviously, regulations were not being followed properly, which is what caused this outbreak, I feel anyway. And in 2020, I was preparing for the lockdown. I bought endless supply of hand sanitizer, toilet roll, and plenty of activities to do in that time. I had just learned about content creation in 2019, so it was really interesting to see how others were handling it. In 2020, I think that it was when we sadly lost a creator, Steve Cash, who had shot himself. This was due to his mental health, so this podcast is in memory of Steve Cash. This was still during the last support provider called Garland Support that I had, which is not a good provider in my opinion, but I am grateful for some of my IRL friends from there. There were no planes for a while, except PPE aeroplanes. People were still traveling during this time, which made me mad, because it's like, why didn't they follow the rules of lockdown? Anyway, I kept busy as I always did. We still had our late Queen Elizabeth II with us, and I felt so proud to have seen her speech on the TV. Every day I woke up early, watching the sunrise and waking up to the tunes of royal trumpets because I wanted to feel like a queen during the pandemic. This was when my relationship with my mother was really good. We saw each other during the lockdown, following the lockdown rules of meeting 2 meters apart and no hugging even though we were relatives. Before I get into other content, I started developing the love of the Addams Family, and they had full episodes of the black and white Addams Family in the 1960s. I then discovered Ellen DeGeneres, who did a podcast in the pandemic, and I would sit in the conservatory with my phone or iPad I had at the time, where I would just sit back and listen to my podcast episodes. I never thought I'd be a content creator one day. I couldn't do it back then at 2020 or 2019 when I first discovered it because I did not have the right space or equipment at the time. I did buy a laptop during that time as I got really bored of all the repeats on the TV and wanted to play Sims 4 again, spending hours and hours on it. It did not last long, that laptop. Unless I am strict with saving, I am only able to afford second-hand stuff, which we all need to be careful of in case of faulty items. On the 20th November 2020, I got offered 2 flats, which were both towns, and little did I know that was going to be my biggest mistake because of the chavs that still stalk me to this day. In 2021, I decided to get a rabbit after getting consent from the landlord in writing. Floppers, I named him, and he has been my emotional support buddy ever since. In 2021, I decided to do my own content, going by a different name, British K 1997, which some of you may remember me as. Though I've had many names, thank you to all of those who do keep up with me. I'm just so indecisive. I managed to get a PC motherboard in 2022 after I had a big fallout with some online friends. My support provider was so concerned as I was not engaging that they called the police on me. After telling the police what had happened, they understood and then they were dismissed. Even though I like the law by my side, I hate having to communicate with the police because it provokes my anxiety greatly. This is why now I have introduced boundaries and my social circles so that I am respected in the future. You've got to think of it like this. Even though I am a small content creator now, I am going to grow and get bigger within time with the more content I do. But imagine me coming back to 500 DMs. Do you think that is fair on me? Would I have the time to reply to all of that? Not to mention the pressure. If you want to contact a creator, you have to keep in mind their popularity and whether or not they will have time for it all. Occasionally, I will be in offline mode, and I need my people to get used to it, regardless on whether or not they have separation anxiety, because we all need to learn how to manage it. Just ask yourself this. What did you used to do before I came into your life? This might seem harsh, but you have to respect boundaries. I work 24/7 creating all kinds of content, whether that is Twitch, YouTube, Hearts Podcast, KD Podcast, although that is now Smythe Podcast, Arby's content on YouTube, or their podcasts. I am also a writer, so I have about 7 books for you all to enjoy, and I will be earning via royalties, so that's a good thing. But I need to wait until I change my name to Smythe, and for me to get my passport back to finally have photo ID. I did do some writing here, but I was not motivated to share my writing. So I waited for after my time in the flat. In 2022, I remember that I wanted to promote content creators while traveling. The lady at reception by the hotel I was staying at was very interested in this. In 2022, I was starting to hear voices, but it wasn't until 2023 I could figure out where it was coming from. 2022 was the year the Arby's formed, because it was those who were most affected by the group of chavs that started to stalk me and everyone else included. He wanted reactions out of me, but I remained calm, even though I did contact a mental health hospital because I wanted these voices to stop. It isn't healthy to communicate with one another, and thoughts should be kept private whether or not they are nice or bad thoughts. My regards to Ariana Grande, Taylor Swift, and Lucy Hale for removing them in the first place. While Ariana and Taylor will always be removed, Lucy earned her way back in because I had realized that she was only doing a nice thing for me by bringing the Arby's together. In October 2023, the group of chavs revealed themselves to me, and I was able to entrap them in Tesco in my town. I saw some horrific stuff happen in that town. That's why I fear for the residents that remain there, because they might become the prey of the chavs. It seems to me that the chavs do get aggression, but are using it in a way to really harm you. But whereas if a celebrity aggresses you, they want either a friend or more than a friend. That's why I created a group to make it healthy boundaries. Sorry to Mayhem who wants to be an Arby, but this gives you an opportunity to create your own groups. After all, I was practicing acts of popularity, and as long as the list goes, the top 6 Arbys, Jenna, Liz, Simsy, Lucy, Selena, and Jade, these are the top 6 who do make an effort, and that's all that matters to me. This does not mean I love the rest any less. It just means I have seen these 6 Arbies try their hardest, and I have seen them aggress over me, which makes me happy. To make them real friends one day will mean the absolute world to me, and I think Discord is the perfect place for us all to hang out, because we can escape from fame a little, even though we need fame. In 2022, I also caught COVID and got it badly, not needing to do any tests as I had all the symptoms, and I am a COVID survivor. 2022 was also the year where I originally wanted to withdraw from my family and become a Smythe. However, we weren't doing it correctly, so I was still a Mason, unfortunately. In 2022, I got creative and started to do a painting in 2023, and the painting, I used little icons to represent me. This was after I discovered I was an empath in 2022 also. Yes, a busy few years for me. It was about to get harder for me in 2024 when I was arrested to go to a mental health hospital and got separated from my bunny. In 7 months, I would finally be free and reunited with my bunny and then 2025 comes. We have known about COVID pandemic for 6 years because it started in December 2019.